Basically, it's now been so long since we first heard of the 2025 ZR1 that almost any news about it is old news. But what if there was something else entirely different from what you've previously heard, not at all mentioned or discussed on social media? Now that's what we'll be covering today. And guys, you just can't miss it. Let's dive right in. Now we all know GM has struggled a lot in the past to keep the details of its highly anticipated cars veiled until the appropriate time to unveil them. I mean, obviously, most of the info we've already obtained on their production cars in the past decade were clearly not intended publicization, at least when they didn't choose to go official yet. So, what we saying? In the case of all the C8s, we've simply had their playbook since April of 2020, and but not for the delays stemming from the COVID crisis, it undoubtedly would have been right every single time. Because of that, everyone knows next in line for the C8 is the beastly ZR1, which has got many salivating more than once. We've even had an assurance of its unveiling soon enough by a whole year of public prototype testing. Now, amidst all these info on ground, we had the biggest one of 2023 come, which laid bare specific mentions to the ZR1's alleged LT7 V8 engine in GM's official components list. This particular information flow's main story was the discovery that although the Z06 and its 180-degree crank will share displacement with its upcoming sibling, the ZR1's 5.5-liter engine will have a conventional crossplane crank, which means that the Z06 will continue to be a unique offering in the Corvette lineup. Yeah, I know, right? Now, ever since then, no real concrete news has been heard, either from the press, GM themselves, or anyone at all to reconfirm or deter this as it may be. This is something interesting to consider because during that major leak, one of its role players was the talk that GM will consider the inclusion of active fuel management or simply AFM technology in the ZR1's twin-turbo LT7 V8. If this were false at all, we could have seen the Corvette team pour out to shout down such slander from traveling much, but this hasn't happened. In fact, there's nothing happening at all to sink teeth to that could shake this off. This, guys, may be more serious than you might think, probably spelling trouble for the nameplate, and in a few minutes, you will come to see exactly why. Let's begin with the most common one, basic history. Ask anyone on the street what he thinks could go wrong with an AFM introduction, and you'll probably get an earbleed from one response. I mean, search that on Google, and the whole thing turns into a raging blaze of chaos. More than 21 million results. Man, that's a deal breaker right away. In the last 20 years, only 2 results have been eminent from an automaker's succumbing to climate crazies among us. A low-grade product with longevity so significantly decreased and reliability concerns that often leave end users peeved. And the second, disastrous miscalculation which can best be exemplified by a forced transition to an electric future. The AFM technology, however, falls somewhere in between. Good to note that it has also acquired names such as the displacement on demand and cylinder deactivator, which hasn't exactly added to its beautification. Anyway, this tech has indeed had its issues, enough of them, in branding, which is no surprise really, since it made its official debut in 2003 as a fuel-saving measure for cars equipped at the time with the 5.3-liter V8. Now the concept itself really makes sense on paper as it looks to make possible the likes of a brawny V8 becoming more of a fuel-sipping powertrain than a renowned alcoholic during cruising and other low RPM conditions. This imagination is sadly just that, as in actual practice, the best of both worlds wish comes crashing. That said, if you think you're getting any value from this video, please hit the like button to ensure more people see the video and subscribe as well if you want to keep seeing more from this channel. Moving on, the AFM has such a bad reputation that it is known as a black eye on any engine family that has proved indestructible, just like in that Superman series. In this case, the engine kryptonite. Just as previously mentioned, a Google search on any of the 3 aliases by which this tech goes will yield a whooping 33.3 million unique pages of data, most of which are dedicated to its downsides, which include excess oil consumption, lifter damage, or the catastrophic COM. In fact, a popular Reddit thread posed a question, I quote, "Has anyone had an AFM system that didn't cause engine problems?" This goes to say that if indeed GM actually brings this technology to the ZR1, leaving the fact of how difficult that could turn out with the output the ZR1 is to possess aside, the AFM already is unreliable, getting labeled ticking time bombs, and is already in the middle of multiple Corvette-centric lawsuits against GM. Well, guys, I believe that is not what anyone willing to part away with $200,000+ for a luxury good will be happy to hear. Definitely not on the ZR1. Now, for the next hard lessons. Well, this is just me, but really for a car built for peak performance, GM definitely shouldn't have business putting such a dubious piece of technology in a vehicle whose client base is composed of around 0% people who really care about fuel economy. When you combine the LT7's perhaps unprecedented power and twist with the ZR1's introduction of turbocharging by the Corvette team, the AFM juice not only doesn't seem worth the squeeze, but it also appears to be the fuse on an already explosive powder keg. And really, this should be something GM itself is aware of, as they had prior experience of this sort with the 8-speed automatic transmission that was forced into duty in the C7 Z06. When the improved 10-speed auto was finished, GM replaced that unit so quickly that it was known to be inadequate for a variety of applications, including the Camaro and the GMC Yukon. The authorities, however, persisted in fitting the General's Halo car with an 8-cog slush box, despite there having been no historical precedence of such a car in a Z-branded Vette. Why on earth are they using the same unsteady bridge across waters teeming with alligators again? This misguided choice resulted in more litigation, and worse, damaged the already enormous Z06's reputation as an on-track overheater. The entire situation is mind-boggling. Certainly with the ZR1 getting that addition, it could really mean a lot of misplaced investment. However, since nothing is really concrete about the LT7 at this point, all what we've discussed could just be needless worry. God, I really hope so. But if it in fact does not turn out being needless worry, one thing you can take comfort in is knowing that Corvette motivators are meticulously assembled at the Performance Build Center in Bowling Green, and compared to their mass-produced competitors, they have had a substantial decline in AFM issues. Also, there's no engineering team we trust to make the Corvette plus AFM combo a reality over the folks that just developed a, so far, dependable 5.5-liter, while Ferrari never ventured to exceed 4.5-liter flat-plane V8 that outperformed the previous record-holding NA V8 by a huge 50 horsepower. Let's hope they can accomplish yet another miracle. Though pointing out that they have a difficult task ahead of them is crucial, as America's sports car's reputation could be at stake. But what if all this could just be one more reason why this car might not be for you?